It's 5:41 in the morning, late December, Aurora, Colorado. The sky's still black. The temperature's sitting at a brutal 9 degrees, the kind of cold that makes your teeth ache just thinking about it. And I'm standing barefoot on my own driveway in a threadbare robe, coffee abandoned and going cold in my shaking hand, staring at 3 freshly poured 6-ton concrete blocks that someone dumped across the mouth of my circular driveway sometime after midnight. They're still steaming in the frozen air, rebar skeletons poking up like broken bones, and the smell of wet cement and diesel hangs so thick I can taste metal on my tongue. I already know who did it. I already know this isn't just harassment anymore. This is a declaration of total war. I dial the one number I swore I'd only use if the apocalypse came early. Jake Mountain Moretti, my brother from 2 decades of sandstorms and mortar fire. The man who once poured a helicopter pad in Helmand Province while tracers lit up the night. He answers on the second ring, voice gravel and sleep. I don't waste words. 5 of them, low and lethal. Jake, I need immovable objects. Yesterday. He's quiet for exactly 2 heartbeats. Then I hear the smile in his voice. Brother, I've been waiting for this call for 30 years. My name is Ethan James Caldwell. 53 years old, 20 of them in uniform, combat engineer, the guy who built bridges so the infantry could cross, and then blew them up so the enemy couldn't follow. Divorced 18 months ago. Ex-wife took half the savings and all the good dishes, and I thought the corner lot house in Silver Pines Reserve with the perfect circular driveway was my reward for surviving everything else. I picked it because clients could pull in, pull out, no blocking the street, no angry neighbors, and I read every single page of the covenants, the CC and RS, the plat map, the municipal code, twice, with a highlighter and a legal pad, because after 2 decades of following orders I was done being surprised. There was nothing, not one goddamn line, that said I couldn't run a quiet one-man IT consulting business out of the basement. I thought I was finally safe. Then I met Valerie Huntington, 49 going on feudal lord, platinum blonde real estate agent, HOA president for 4 consecutive terms, owner of the white Range Rover that got detailed every Sunday like it was about to be displayed at the Vatican. She didn't knock. She didn't wave. She just appeared one Tuesday morning in my driveway like a demon summoned by bad decisions, clutching her pearl-white clipboard and designer sunglasses even though the sun wasn't up yet. That commercial vehicle has to go, Mr. Caldwell, she announced, voice dripping with the kind of condescending honey that makes you want to floss your teeth with barbed wire. My 2019 Tacoma. Same truck half the dads in the neighborhood drive. I gave her the polite smile I used to give lieutenants fresh out of West Point who thought they invented war. I'll review the rules, ma'am. 3 days later, the first violation letter arrived. $250 fine. Threat of $750 a day. Appeal hearing scheduled 6 weeks out, while the clock on the fines ticked in real time. Classic shakedown. I paid the blood money, filed the appeal, and did what any self-respecting combat engineer does when someone paints a target on his chest. I started fortifying. 8 4K cameras, infrared, motion-triggered floodlights, cloud backup, the whole perimeter wired like a forward operating base. And that's when the midnight footage showed up that turned my rage from simmering to thermonuclear. 11:51 p.m., frost glittering under the streetlights. There's Valerie in black yoga pants and $800 boots. Neon surveyor's tape stretched across my driveway, measuring angles and distances like she's planning an airstrike, her white Range Rover idling 3 doors down with the hazards blinking like a getaway car. She wasn't just harassing me anymore. She was planning something permanent. So I decided to give her permanent right back. Only mine would be prettier, legal, and impossible to tell. The next 6 months were a masterclass in slow-motion psychological torture. Valerie weaponized her real estate marketing budget into glossy smear campaigns, full-color flyers in every mailbox calling me the commercial cancer-destroying Silver Pines property values, photos of my house doctored so my Tacoma looked like a semi-truck, fake quotes from concerned residents about declining schools and rising crime. Neighbors who used to wave suddenly discovered their shoes were fascinating when I walked past. Mrs. Chun from 4 houses down actually crossed the street, clutching her purse like I was about to rob her for grocery money. I felt the isolation creeping in, the same way it does when you're the only guy in the platoon who hasn't gotten a letter from home in 3 months. But every tyrant makes the same fatal mistake. They create too many enemies at once. They started showing up at my door after the streetlights came on, casserole dishes trembling in their hands, manila folders thick with their own horror stories, eyes darting like they expected Valerie to materialize out of the shadows. The Morales family, Dad still in his delivery uniform, grease under his nails, telling me how Valerie made him dismantle his kid's treehouse board by board while she watched from her Range Rover, taking photos like a war tourist. Little Sophia Morales, 6 years old, asked her daddy why the mean lady hated her castle in the sky. Old Mrs. Lillian Brooks, 78, widow, fined $4,200 because her copper bird bath was suddenly an unpermitted reflective water feature that disrupted sight lines. The Patel family, their 17-year-old honor roll son banned from shooting hoops after 4 p.m. because the ball bouncing disturbed Valerie's sacred afternoon nap schedule. They whispered their stories in my kitchen like sinners in confession, terrified, broke, ashamed they hadn't fought back sooner. Until they realized the guy Valerie had chosen as her main target was a combat engineer with nothing left to lose and a very particular set of skills. And then, at 2:17 a.m. on a night I hadn't slept in 3 days, lit only by the blue glow of my laptop and the kind of rage that keeps a man warmer than any blanket, I found the mother of all silver bullets. Public County Records, Assessor's Office, Lien Database. Valerie Huntington, self-appointed guardian of community standards, owed Silver Pines Reserve HOA $11,700 in delinquent special assessments. 2 full years behind on roof repairs, street lighting, snow removal, the exact same assessments she'd been religiously collecting from everyone else while terrorizing us into compliance. But the real gut punch was Colorado Revised Statutes 38-33.3-316. The second a board member falls delinquent, they are automatically disqualified from office. Every vote she took, every fine she signed, every tow truck she dispatched for the last 22 months was legally void. She'd been ruling like an absolute monarch with power that had been stripped from her before she ever walked into the first meeting. I called Frank O'Donnell at 6:03 a.m., retired district court judge, silver hair, voice like whiskey and justice, the man who'd become my friend after I fixed his Wi-Fi, and he realized I wasn't the monster Valerie painted me to be. Frank, I found the nuke. He listened without interrupting, then let out the slowest, most satisfied exhale I'd ever heard. Son, you just handed us the keys to the kingdom. But we keep this quiet until the perfect moment. Let her keep swinging. We're going to bury her with her own shovel. The revenge had to be perfect, proportional, beautiful, legal, and above all, permanent. So I called Jake Mountain Moretti, the man who once poured a foundation in 135-degree heat while RPGs cooked off in the distance, and I laid it out. I need 4 decorative concrete planters, 9,000 pounds each when filled, rebar cages sunk 8 feet into bedrock, river rock veneer, built-in drainage, LED uplighting, 41 inches tall so no permit required, placed exactly 1 inch inside my property line. He laughed so hard I thought he was going to cry. Ethan, you beautiful bastard. I'll bring the good mix. We scheduled the pour for the exact weekend Valerie flew first class to a luxury real estate conference in Vegas, because karma apparently has a sense of timing. Friday morning the concrete trucks rolled in like Abrams tanks, diesel engines rumbling through the quiet streets, neighbors peeking through blinds like they were watching history being made. Jake's crew worked like a special forces unit. Forms perfect, rebar cages tied tighter than a drum, vibrators screaming as they settled the mix. By Sunday night, 4 magnificent planters stood sentinel along my driveway like someone hired Mount Rushmore to do high-end landscaping. Evergreens planted, mulch spread, subtle gold uplights glowing like halos. Total weight, 36,000 pounds of landscaped freedom. Valerie's plane landed Monday at 7:09 p.m. By 7:23, her white Range Rover screeched to a halt in front of my house. I watched on the 4K cameras as she sat frozen behind the wheel for 3 full minutes, mouth open, staring like she'd just seen God, and he was flipping her off. Then the meltdown began, screaming, circling the planters, taking frantic iPhone photos from every angle, voice cracking into frequencies only dolphins and broken people can hear. Tuesday morning the city inspector showed up, measured twice, checked the survey pins, looked at Jake's stamped engineering drawings, shrugged, and told her, "Some of the nicest work I've seen all year, completely legal." She hired downtown lawyers at $650 an hour who took one look at her delinquency file and fired her as a client by lunch. By Wednesday, she was driving past my house 17 times a day, slowing to a crawl each lap, windows down, muttering, photographing, unraveling in real time, while the entire neighborhood watched from behind curtains like it was the best reality show ever made. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. The final emergency HOA meeting was scheduled for Thursday, 7 p.m., and by 6:25 the community center looked like the Super Bowl of suburban justice. Cars lined both sides of the street for 3 blocks, residents streaming and carrying lawn chairs because every seat was already taken, Channel 9 news crews setting up in the back because someone had tipped them off that tonight was going to be legendary. Valerie walked in like she still owned the world, power suit pressed sharp enough to cut glass, clicker in hand, ready to deliver another PowerPoint sermon about preserving the sacred residential character of Silver Pines Reserve. I let her talk for 13 delicious minutes. Let her show aerial drone photos of my house that made my corner lot look like an industrial park. Let her use words like insurgency and commercial encroachment, while 80 people who'd paid her illegal fines seethed in the seats. Then Frank O'Donnell stood up slow and calm the way only a man who's sentenced murderers to life can do, and dropped the nuke we'd been cradling for months. "Before this board conducts any further business," he said, voice carrying like a church bell through the packed room, "the current president is legally required to recuse herself. Under Colorado Revised Statutes 38-33.3-316, she has been disqualified from this board for the last 22 months due to $11,700 in unpaid HOA assessments." He held up the county printouts like Moses coming down the mountain, and the room absolutely detonated. 80 voices roaring at once. Years of terror and fines and tears exploding outward like a dam finally giving way after a decade of pressure. People who'd paid Valerie's fines while she owed more than all of them combined. Families she'd made cry over swing sets and vegetable gardens and basketball hoops. All of it came pouring out in one glorious tidal wave of righteous fury. Valerie screamed about lawsuits, about defamation, about "you'll all be sorry," face cycling through every shade of red and purple known to medical science while news cameras rolled in beautiful high definition. The remaining board members, faces pale as ghosts, called for her immediate removal. Vote 78-0. With 2 abstentions because those 2 weren't there. They were already hiding in their houses praying the mob didn't come for them next. She fled the building stumbling in 5-inch heels, mascara running in black rivers down her cheeks, clutching her useless briefcase like a shield while the sound of her empire collapsing echoed behind her like the loudest, sweetest thunder you've ever heard. The Channel 9 clip of her running across the parking lot went viral on Denver Reddit before she even made it home. 2 days later, the "for sale, extremely motivated seller" sign went up in her yard. Moving trucks arrived the following Tuesday morning. I stood on my porch drinking coffee while her white Range Rover followed the last truck out of Silver Pines Reserve forever, taillights disappearing around the bend like a nightmare that finally ran out of oxygen. No wave goodbye. No final glare. Just the pathetic retreat of a bully who finally met something she couldn't find, tow, or intimidate. Mrs. Lillian Brooks got elected president by acclamation that same night, 92 years old and tougher than most Marines I knew. First official act. Every illegal fine refunded with 8% interest. Second act. Full financial transparency posted online for good. No exceptions, no excuses. Third act. Declared the 4th Saturday of every month Playground Rebuilding Day, until every kid in Silver Pines had whatever swing set, treehouse, or basketball hoop their heart desired. 3 summers later, I'm sitting on my porch on a warm July night. Landscape lights glowing soft gold across evergreens that have grown taller than my roofline. Watching neighborhood kids use the 4 concrete planters as castle walls, pirate ships, and spaceship cockpits while their parents grill steaks and drink cold beer and laugh loud enough to scare the stars. My consulting business tripled after the story hit the news. My circular driveway is now famous across the Front Range, and Jake started a side company called Tyrant Proof Landscaping LLC, that stays booked solid. Sometimes justice doesn't knock. Sometimes it shows up in 4 concrete trucks at dawn and pours 36,000 pounds of permanent, beautiful, landscaped never again, right across the exact spot where the bully used to park her hatred. So tell me honestly, guys, when someone uses fake authority to make little kids cry over swing sets, when they steal money from the same people they fine into the ground, when they hide behind rules that don't even apply to them while destroying families one violation letter at a time, is building something gorgeous and immovable really revenge? Or is it just the universe finally balancing the scales one perfect, evergreen-filled, 9,000-pound planter at a time? Drop your own HOA war stories below. You're not fighting alone. And if this story proves anything, it's that sometimes all it takes is one quiet veteran, a circular driveway, and 36,000 pounds of concrete to bring a tyrant to her knees and give an entire neighborhood its soul back. See you in the next one, same time, same channel, where the little guy always wins, eventually, beautifully, and in concrete.